Did you know that for nearly 3 million years, the only skin color on Earth was dark? Not as a theory, not as an assumption, but as a clear scientific fact. For the vast majority of human history, every single hominin walking the Earth, from Lucy the Australopithecus to the first Homo sapiens, was dark-skinned. Let's break down how we know that, why it matters, and the deep irony behind what modern society has chosen to forget. Let's go all the way back, 3.2 million years ago. That's when Lucy lived. She's the most famous specimen of Australopithecus afarensis discovered in Ethiopia in 1974. She stood just over 3 feet tall and walked upright, one of our earliest bipedal ancestors. We haven't recovered her DNA, but based on her location, her evolutionary environment, and what we know about how skin color functions in high UV areas like equatorial Africa, scientists agree. Lucy, and every member of her species, had dark skin, almost certainly black. Why? Because dark skin isn't just a random trait. It's a biological advantage in high UV environments. Melanin, the pigment that darkens skin, serves as a natural sunscreen. It protects DNA from harmful ultraviolet rays, prevents folate degradation, which is critical for fetal development, and reduces the risk of skin cancer. In Africa, where sunlight is intense year-round, dark skin is not just helpful, it's necessary for survival. It's necessary for survival. And this was true not just for Lucy, but for all early hominins after her. Australopithecus africanus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and eventually Homo sapiens themselves, who evolved around 300,000 years ago, also in Africa. All of them, by necessity and adaptation, had dark skin. So, for roughly 3 million years, every person on Earth, every version of human that ever lived, was black. That's not political. That's evolutionary biology.
It wasn't until groups of humans began migrating out of Africa, starting around 60,000 to 70,000 years ago, that this began to change. As these early humans moved north into Europe and Asia, they encountered environments with significantly lower UV radiation. In these climates, producing vitamin D from sunlight became harder. And here's where evolution kicked in again. To survive in regions with limited sun exposure, lighter skin became a selective advantage. It allowed the body to synthesize enough vitamin D with less UV. So slowly, over thousands of generations, lighter skin tones evolved independently in different regions, not just in Europe, but also in East Asia and the Arctic. Interestingly, the Neanderthals, who split from our lineage around 400,000 years ago and lived mostly in Europe and parts of Asia, were among the first hominins to develop light skin and hair. But they weren't modern humans. They were a different branch entirely. Some Neanderthal DNA samples even show genes for red hair and freckles. But remember, this wasn't a design. It was adaptation to climate, not a marker of superiority or identity. Back to Homo sapiens, modern humans. Even after migrating into Europe and Asia, they retained dark skin for tens of thousands of years. In fact, DNA from a 10,000-year-old man found in Cheddar Gorge, England, known as Cheddar Man, reveals he had dark skin, blue eyes, and curly hair. That's in post-Ice Age Europe, just 10,000 years ago. The skin-lightening genes that are common in many modern populations today only became widespread in the last 7,000 to 5,000 years. A blink of an eye. Evolutionary time. And again, they weren't about race. They were about sunlight.
So let's pause. We now know this. For over 3 million years, the only humans on Earth were dark-skinned. That means the default human, the root of every family tree, was black. And it stayed that way through almost every major milestone in human development. Stone tools, fire, language, the first art, the first burials, the first societies. All built by dark-skinned people. And here's where we hit the painful irony. Despite being the foundational form of humanity, dark-skinned people, especially people of African descent, face the harshest racism, discrimination, and historical erasure in the modern world. Think about that. The people whose ancestors were the first to walk, talk, bury their dead, form communities, and migrate across the globe are now often treated as lesser, simply because of the same skin color that once ensured our species' survival. It's not just sad. It's absurd. It's scientist-absurd. It's absurd. It's scientifically, historically, and morally backwards. The truth is, there is no white origin of humanity. There is no European origin. Light skin is not the starting point. It is the late-stage mutation that came long after the most important chapters of our human story had already been written. We all come from the same place. And we all come from the same people. Black people are not a type of human. They are the prototype of human. So the next time someone tries to weaponize skin color, remind them, skin color is geography, not hierarchy. The first humans were black. The first teachers were black. The first artists, hunters, healers, mothers, fathers, all black. It's time we taught the truth with pride, not just in science books, but in cultures, and in conversations. Because acknowledging where we came from doesn't divide us, it connects us. Thanks for watching.